Take 10. Hello! Hi fellow Earthlings, greetings from my favorite place in the world, my studio. Lately I've been learning that y'all are super interested in my story. How did I get to make a living doing something that I love? Being creative and environmentally sensitive and making a living all at once. Like you, I often wonder how the heck I even got to be this lucky. Today I'll share with you a little bit about how it has been from this side of the screen. I'll share some of the fun parts, the milestones, personal living practices, and some of the challenges that have been on my path. I'm hoping that each of these videos I'm making improve upon the last one and that my style and skill get better too. As this is still something pretty new to me and I'm the embodiment of authenticity, I gotta tell you that I'm actually reading these words so I don't forget anything. I don't have solid trust that I will remember all the important things I want to tell you without referring to my timeline. So pardon my eye wandering. As I was putting together my timeline, it dawned on me that what really has allowed me to follow my path is my deep-rooted commitment to making a way in the world that allows me to follow my passion of living a creative life and being part of the healing of the environment. Kind of like, if you're not part of the solution, you are, by default, part of the problem. I made this lifelong commitment as a mass art college student before convenience stores or blue bins, back in 1987. The advent of both a whole new disposable culture and the introduction of municipal recycling followed, and in quick succession, I saw the imbalance of humans creating an ever-growing demand for plastic that our sacred planet cannot compost, and in thinking that if we were recycling it, we're doing our part in managing it, and our job is done, while allowing the plastic industry to grow exponentially without much of a plan for environmental balance. It's clear that I love to share my process. I love to teach. The two big reasons why sharing is a life focus for me is that I love my creative life, and I would like to empower others to share in all that is magic about following your passion. Following your passion, learning to speak up, and having fun. Secondly, it's actually fair to say that I am a tree-hugging dirt worshiper. In seriousness, I believe that nature is sacred, and I strive to encourage humans to learn awareness about our place in the biosphere. I am no scientist, and I'm learning as I go, but one thing is sure, that humans, as part of nature, don't actually have the power to extinguish the planet, but we certainly are exercising our ability to make Earth's atmosphere hostile to our own well-being. I know, all of this stuff is huge, and it can be completely overwhelming. The diagnosis of environmental overload is really a thing. So, I don't want to make anybody feel bad. I'm really not into that. I'm not into making people feel bad. I'm not into feeling guilty, or remorseful, or unworthy. Quite the opposite. It's my belief that when I feel good, I'm wonderfully powerful and able to manifest greatness, connect, and make tangible, positive change. When I feel bad, there's no clear path forward, and nothing works well. As I tell my kids, when you are nice, kind, thoughtful, empathetic, genuine, and polite, you get what you want. And when you are a jerk, you get treated like a jerk. It seems to me like that we are constantly barraged with all sorts of negativity about how we have done such terrible things to the environment, to our government, to our immigrant brothers and sisters, to all manner of people of color, to our non-binary folks, and to anyone who is a little different or alternative. Each day the media blasts us with all the terrible tragedy in the world, which brings human energy down, 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 down. We are basically told on the daily that we are a giant tribe of awful jerks. And we are not. We are powerful beings full of love and positivity. So you know what keeps me inspired? You do. It's super inspiring to me to read your messages, your comments, the suggestions. I love to... I need a glass of water. I'm super excited to... People make positive changes in their lives that ripple out into the ether and make more and more positive change in our collective existence. I am super excited to use this platform to instill positive change in any way that I can. My best success is helping people tap into their own creativity, empowering them to see the world in a little differently than they did before. Thank you for being part of my creative life process. Without you, my life would lack passion. Many of you have asked about the history of my work, so I want to shift gears a little and share with you the story of my beginnings. I started my business as that environmentally vehement mass arts student back in 1987 in Boston. I was working my way through college, waitressing, managing the fiber studio at Mass Art, and that was like a work-study thing, and selling the work I was making as soon as I had passed muster with my professors. The first place I sold my work was called Christmas Secrets, which became Cambridge Artist Cooperative as the group decided to morph from a 6-week pop-up shop in the heart of Harvard Square in Cambridge to a year-round enterprise. I think it might have been like the very first original pop-up shop. The first products I made for sale at the cooperative were stuffed animals originally made from handmade felt called ragamuffins. I loved making them, but I didn't love making the felt. Fleece for felting was available in a color palette that was quite muted, and my preference was bright colors and wild patterns, and the wet, cold felting process was just not really my thing. My mom and dad have been my high school art teachers and are quintessential crafters. Well, they're both gone now, but they were quintessential crafters. They heard my conundrum, and without much thought, sort of off the cuff even, my dad gave me the idea to use shrunken wool sweaters to create the ragamuffins. Thrift store sweaters. So that singular idea turned something that I was doing just really for money into my life's passion, enabling me to put my art and my environmental passion together and create a job and a life from that. So thanks, Dad. 2 years after graduating Mass Art in 1988, I was living with my boyfriend and working in my first studio in Millerton, New York, and I had 40 people on my payroll. It was crazy. I was running this recycled manufacturing business, and in addition to ragamuffins, we were making mittens, scarves, blankets, my original design potholder rugs, hoodies, vests, custom displays for our larger volume retailers, and by 1990, my rapidly expanding manufacturing business was servicing over 350 stores all over the United States, Canada, Europe, Australia, Japan, and Mexico. Among my customers was the Sundance catalog, Fiorucci in Italy, we had ABC Carpet and Home, Timberland, Esprit, I think Esprit's gone now, but they were a great company, Crate & Barrel. All of these accounts and lots of others were secured through a network of trade shows that I sold at all over the United States. So in November of 1992, my son was born. Woo-hoo! What an amazing gift he was. He showed me the way out of a really bad physically abusive relationship with his dad and allowed me to focus on something other than building my brand and being a submissive life partner. In 1995, 2 months after being a guest speaker at the Social Venture Network's annual conference, my then 2.5-year-old son was diagnosed with something called cardiomyopathy. We were told he would likely have about 18 months to live. Spoiler alert, the kid turned 26 this past fall. So my life took a turn inward at this time, with my focus shifting from making to creating the best life I could for my son and myself, and with my business taking a back seat. The bank I had worked with since my inception called all my loans after my bookkeeper notified them of Ben's diagnosis and the fact that I had no health insurance. Can we talk about hardship? This was like a super difficult time in my past. The 29 people who were making their livelihood from my payroll were all laid off, and I couldn't make a plan to move forward with my focus elsewhere. It was just super trying. Enter the angels. This is where we have to put in the sounds like chorus of angels. Seriously, there were so many instances of divine intervention during these dark days to discuss here. Too many to discuss here, but I can tell you that many angels came into my life at this time and helped me find my way back to light. With the help of people I had met at the Social Venture Network conference a little bit earlier, my bank loans were reinstated and I was able to resume production in a new location closer to my family. My parents helped me with Ben, and I was able to regain my strength after a vision of seeing a clear path forward into the well-being and strong, love-based, not warrior, fear-based parenting. Ben and I had a blast. We went on all sorts of adventures. We met good people. We traveled internationally. We listened to great music at local regional music festivals. and I enrolled him in a swanky private school on a scholarship. He was prescribed lots of meds and began to thrive, gained weight, had more stamina, and was generally an all-around super awesome little kid. We visited doctors at the Boston Children's Hospital regularly and wound up with an amazing cardiologist a little closer to home in Springfield at Bay State. That's our hospital in Springfield. During this time, my business was holding its own, not growing as it had before, but maintaining a humble profit. And in 1996, I was awarded the Small Business Administration Young Entrepreneur of the Year Award, and I was invited to New York City to receive the award. It was literally terrifying to me to stand in front of a huge room full of people to speak my gratitude, so I humbly accepted the honor without words at the podium and never made it to the Washington, D.C. event later that year. Yikes, you guys, like, is this too much? I have not stopped and thought about this long, windy path for such a long time. Are y'all into this? There's so much to share, and I hope I'm not boring you. I'm gonna keep going. If you don't want to watch it, that's cool, but it's kind of interesting if you ask me. In 1997, my biggest customer was the J. Peterman Company. Does anyone out there remember them? They had that cool hand-drawn, oddly formatted catalog. Well, they've been selling my wares really well for a few years, so when they ordered over $30,000 worth of blankets, I was ecstatic. When they didn't pay their bill on time, it made things a little difficult, and when they wound up filing bankruptcy in February 2000, or that was in 1998, it would really messed me up. So the start of that year was super tricky, and looking back, it was a pivot point in my business into a mode of struggle that lasted for several years. Finally, in 2003, a local philanthropist with a penchant for Berkshire-made art and small business came to my rescue and bought my business. Together, we transitioned the business from a seasonal wool-based brand into a year-round company offering wares using all sorts of different recycled materials, including cotton t-shirts, men's dress shirts, jeans, corduroys, silk blouses, and for 5 years, the company grew. We moved the studio from our crumbling rental property on the banks of the Housatonic River in the village of Housatonic, Massachusetts, to a regal former Roman Catholic church that my hubby and I bought in the heart of Pittsfield, Massachusetts. We opened Fuchsia Home, a beautifully curated retail store in the center of historic Lenox, Massachusetts. We did more shows, we sold more product, and we recycled more waste. Somewhere in the middle of all that time, in 2004, I got married. Yay! My sweet hubby and longtime dear friend who had stood by me for years and I shared so much history that transition from friend to lover was the best thing that ever happened to both of us. He knew Ben since his diagnosis and loved him as his own. Chris and I actually met when we were 3 and 5 years old. Our parents were acquaintances, all well-read, well-traveled, eccentric, erudite teachers who spent their summers on family adventures. December of 2005, our daughter Lucy was born. All the ladies working in my production studio loved having a baby around. They helped me keep productive and loved my baby, and when I needed an extra set of hands, they were right there. To our great surprise, 13 months later, along came little Miss Violet, who was the world's smiliest and most content baby. All of these super love-based distractions led to the decision in May of 2008 to stop running the wholesale company so I could be present to my new family dynamic that fell from heaven. It was a little difficult though. It was initiated by my business partner, and in hindsight was a huge blessing. She was able to retire, and I was able to make a more manageable path forward as the economy was in sharp decline, making volume sales of expensive handmade recycled product more difficult than before. Even with all the wonderful newness in my life, it took me a while to find my footing. Identity had been tightly tied to my production company for my entire adult life. I was used to being surrounded by people. I missed all my dear friends on the trade show circuit. I missed traveling. I missed the recognition and the international exposure. Actually, I really didn't miss managing people and being an administrator, and I loved having time to hang out with my 3 amazing kids and husband. By the end of 2008, I was able to return to my soul nurturing practice of making, of recycling, and finally made time to write the teaching book Story Publishing had been patiently waiting for me to complete. In fall of 2009, the Sweater Chop Shop was published. 20 projects to make with recyclable sweaters. I wrote a book. I couldn't believe I wrote a book. I mean, honestly, I never thought I could do that. The dear people at Story Publishing were immeasurably patient, kind, and helpful, and without them, well, there certainly would be no book, and probably I wouldn't be here with you guys today. They taught me confidence in my writing and speaking skills. They taught me clear verbal communication. What a gift. So from writing the book, the process of writing the book really threw me right into my teaching career, which I love and I continue to do. The same year, 2009, Eileen Fisher, who I had met at the Social Venture Network conference, had hired me to work with her design team to recycle their waste material and create a portfolio of recycled textile possibilities using materials from their process. I taught workshops with them at their headquarters in Irvington, New York, and worked with their Women's Empowerment Program and helped them develop a process for their zero waste tiny factory that produces their Circular by Design Renew brand. I am so proud to have been the impetus for the groundbreaking new way in the big business of clothing manufacturing. Since seeing the success of that connection, I've been experimenting and developing a Crispina.eco scrap project model and certification process. Currently, I'm working with a few large volume textile waste generators to help turn their waste into streams of revenue generation with an eye on zero waste. I'm totally inspired by affecting real environmental change. I'm super excited to be instigating a measurable global shift in how we see waste, our decision making when it comes to spending our money, educating consumers and manufacturers alike to the need to be more intentional, more thoughtful, and environmentally aware. There is more coming on all of this stuff later this year as it comes into fruition. Since 2008, my work has focused on teaching, developing new work inspired by what is available in thrift stores and in the waste streams of the manufacturers that I work with. The other thing that I do is I'm a screen printer. In my high school art teaching, parents founded a business called the Dolphin Studio back in 1970, and nearly 50 years later, my sister and I run the company, and each year we produce over 2,500 hand-printed Dolphin Studio calendars. We make posters, cards, custom wedding invitations, kitchen towels, t-shirts, event posters. We do it all. Any kind of hand screen printing you want done, we can do that for you. To take care of myself, I'm committed to a daily morning meditation, to getting outside no matter what the weather's doing, to eating really healthy food, and loving my family every day. I've learned that living with intention works well for me when striving for life changes and achieving goals. My current intention is to carefully connect and grow with a circle of appreciative, engaged, creative people so we can share and support each other, grow, and send wonderful, loving, inclusive, empowering ripples out into the world with everything we do. I would like to help you clearly understand that you can live the life of your dreams. I'm here to guide you toward a path of unimagined bliss, contentedness, and fun. Are you ready? Let's do this. But before you dash off to the rest of your life, scroll down and leave a comment. Tell me that you were in. Are you in? I hope you're in. You are today committing to taking steps toward all that brings you joy. You might want to share what those things are too. So scroll down and leave me a comment. Tell me what you're thinking about. And thanks for listening today.